Is your current training split getting stale? Do you find it increasingly more difficult each and every single day to find that right mindset that you need to go in and crush every single workout? If you answered yes to either one of those questions, then maybe it's time to change things up. That is why in today's video, I want to give you 3 things that every lifter must try to really re-energize your workouts and really give that training a purpose again. Starting off with the first thing that every lifter must try, and that is actually competing in a bodybuilding show or some type of contest. Honestly, that probably was the hardest thing that I've ever did in the past, was competing in my first show. Not only because of the lack of carbs that you get, the increased cardio, and just the mental toughness that you have in order to have to go through a full prep, but I honestly think that the discipline that it takes to really do that and to really achieve that is something that is great, and I think that it's awesome to be able to set that goal and really follow through with it. So I think from a goal setting standpoint, I think that it's really good for re-energizing your workouts and giving you something to focus on and really prioritize your training towards that. During my 15 weeks of actually preparing for my show, I was honestly the most dialed in terms of mentally, in terms of preparing for it, having to focus on my nutrition and my training and balancing my life in the process. Honestly, that was the most that I've ever challenged myself.
This egg lettuce bowl that I make. So yeah, that's kind of, it's gonna taste really, really good.
So I really did like that challenge, and having that new goal, like I said, really created a fire inside of me and really made me push past my limits that I was normally used to. But in terms of just the show, it wasn't just the show prep that really allowed me to focus on my training. It was what happened after the show.
I know where my weaknesses are. I know where I want to improve. So it's just about getting to work and doing that.
I really noticed the weak points and areas that I needed to work on, and without actually getting that lean and actually putting that time in to doing the cut and preparing for the show, I would have never really noticed those weak points. So I think from that standpoint, not just for preparing for the show, but I think it's really great from after the show, being able to take that and improve on something that you've previously seen the package that you brought, and being able to try to better yourself for the next time. So I think that's really why it's good to do a show, is to kind of be able to show off all your hard work in some sense and really focus on your weak points and give you something new to strive for. And the second reason why I think everybody should compete in a bodybuilding show is to really get that appreciation for the sport of bodybuilding.
And if you look over here, I have white jasmine rice that I'm really excited about. Yeah, I haven't had, like I mentioned before in that last video, I haven't had rice since January, so it's definitely going to be tasty, and I'm looking forward to this meal.
It's extremely difficult, and unlike most sports, it actually requires your full attention 24 hours a day between training, eating, and sleeping. So that's why I think it's, in my opinion, it's the hardest sport in the world. And I think that when you're doing a contest prep and you're putting yourself through that, you can really learn to understand how difficult it is to really get up on that stage and present your best package.
I just got to the hotel, just checked in. I have all my meals prepped, like I mentioned before in a couple prior videos. So basically what I did is I prepped everything just so I wouldn't have to do anything. I just want to be able to eat the meals and not really think about it. So that's kind of what I did. I have my rice cakes in this bag here that I'll be getting into later.
Because there are days when you're on and off, and during the contest prep, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride, and really be able to push through that, you'll have a better appreciation to what the actual bodybuilders do for the Olympia. It's crazy to think how much they go through, and if you don't go through it yourself, then you really don't really understand it more in terms of what it takes to really get up on that stage. And another thing that I think is pretty crazy looking back on it, you prepare for 15 weeks, or maybe you've been training for a couple of years, 2 years, and you're leading up to a show and you know that you want to do a show. It's crazy to think that how much preparation and discipline actually goes in to only really getting a couple minutes on stage. I remember when I stepped on stage, it was almost like a fast forward. It felt like it was 2 seconds, I was on and off, and that was it. And honestly, the thrill that I got from stepping on it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved the preparation. I loved the process, and I think that's something that you have to do. But honestly, it's crazy to think what those bodybuilders go through and what people go through during a contest prep and what I went through just to really have that 2 minutes on stage. So my advice for you for 2020 is stop browsing shows, really decide on a show, pick one and sign up for the show. What's going to happen is when you sign up, it's going to create a sense of urgency, and it's going to stop making you procrastinate because it's real. You signed up, you registered, and you're all set to go. Now all you have to do is the contest prep, and that sense of urgency is going to really start putting your training into gear and getting everything ready to go. So my advice, like I said, is in 2020, stop procrastinating and really focus on picking a show that aligns best to you and compete in what you're really interested in competing in. Moving on to the second thing that every lifter must try, and that's actually experimenting with your training. I think what happens is a lot of people that are inspiring into bodybuilding see all these professional bodybuilders that are following bro splits, and I think that they immediately think that they have to do that in order to get the results that they want, and this is far from the truth. I honestly think that people get too stuck in their ways and they don't want to change, and if they don't know if something's working and they just are afraid that they're going to switch to something else that may not work, or what they're currently doing now is working and they don't want to ruin it. So I think that getting stuck in your ways is the worst thing that you can do. So I highly encourage everybody to experiment with their training. So basically what I mean by this is, let's say you are following a bro split and that's a high volume training. So therefore you are doing high volume training. Consider switching to a higher frequency training and try that out. But I think in order to do so, you have to stick with some type of programming for enough time in order to notice the results. I think that's big. If you program jump or you're switching from different training splits and different training styles too frequently, you're not going to allow your body to respond correctly, and you're not going to be able to gauge your progress of actually how you responded to that. So I think going back to what I said with the bro split, try some high volume training, try the bro split. There's nothing wrong with following the bro split for a little bit, but you just don't want to be stuck on that train of thought, and you don't want to think that that's the one best split. I think with all the science that's out there, people kind of get caught in their ways, and they think that you have to train this way in order to get the results because that's what science says.
For every study you find that says something, you can probably find a study to find the opposite. And if you don't know how to read between the lines, you can often come to the wrong conclusions, or you can extrapolate and basically decide something that isn't really true.
And I have nothing wrong with that. I think science is great, and I think when used right, it's really great, and have an understanding of it and apply it to your training. I think that you will get great results by doing that, but I think by getting in that mindset that this is how you have to train, it forces people into training a certain way, and I don't really necessarily like that. So like I said with the high volume, instead of focusing on high volume all the time, focus on frequency. So try a training split that allows you to increase your frequency. So this is normally done through a push-pull legs. So maybe switch from a bro split to a push-pull legs and give that a try for a couple months. And then therefore you're able to kind of train each muscle group 3 to 4 times a week, or actually 2 to 3 times a week, sorry. But you're actually testing out the frequency, and stick to that and see how your body responds to the frequency versus the volume. And you can also experiment with high intensity training as another way to train. This is actually done by incorporating drop sets and supersets into your training and just kind of like reducing your rest times in between sets. So I think by experimenting with different training styles, you're going to be able to kind of have your own opinion on which style worked for you. And just because something worked for somebody else doesn't necessarily mean it works for you, because everybody is individual and everybody's genetics are different, and like I said, everybody responds differently to the training. So with all the talk about being which is the best split for you, honestly, it doesn't come down to which one's actually going to be delivering you the most results, which a lot of people think. Of course, you want to follow a split that's going to deliver you the best results, but there's a lot of things that you want to consider when you're choosing a split. I think a lot of people get caught up into, I have to follow this split because that's what's working for him, or that's what that person said. And I think that, like I said, there's a lot of things you have to consider. I think some of those things are your lifestyle, your time commitment, your experience, your goals, your nutrition, just basically the lifestyle that you live is not the same as somebody else. So if you're following a certain split that's apparently the most optimal, and it requires that you be in the gym 5 days a week, but you can't be in the gym 5 days a week consistently, then you're eventually going to falter on the program, and you're not going to be able to stick to it, and therefore it's going to impact your results. And then the only thing that's left to take the hit is actually your motivation. It's going to cause you to kind of program jump and really just not get the results that you want. So I think when you're deciding about which program is best for you, of course you want to make sure that it's practical and that it's going to give you results, but I think you need to take into consideration your lifestyle in terms of that as well, like what works best based on your lifestyle. And I just wanted to add that because I felt that was pretty important. But properly planning your training ahead and just making sure that you're able to swap out exercises, you're able to figure out which exercises you enjoy, how you're going to periodize your training. Are you going to do a strength block, or are you going to do a hypertrophy block? When are you going to be on this training split, and when you're going to start the next one? I think by taking time to do that, you're really able to add like a certain freshness to your workout. You're really able to spice up your workouts, and you're really able to avoid your training from really getting stale. And lastly, the third thing that I think every lifter should try is actually having a coach. I think having a coach serves 2 different purposes. So the first is actually accountability. I think by having
My new coach who I'm working with is Patrick McGinnis. He's out of Halifax.
those weekly check-ins and having somebody look over your progress pictures, having someone look over your training to make sure that you're progressively overloading, that you're doing the right exercises, and that you're doing the right form and all that kind of stuff. I think that's all great. But also from a nutritional standpoint, I think being able to have somebody monitor your nutrition. Some people need that and some people don't. own. Personally, I can pretty much keep myself accountable for the most part, whereas other people kind of, if they didn't have somebody there all the time, then their nutrition might slip, they might end up overeating, and just having that discipline and that self-control I think is necessary. So I think from an accountability standpoint, just having somebody there to guide you through the process and keep you accountable is huge. And the second thing that I wanted to touch on with the having a coach is that it really gives you structure. So like I said before, making sure that you're following a training split and that you know when to switch training splits and follow a different program, know when things are getting stale, know when to freshen up the workout. And by having a good coach, he's able to know those adjustments. He's able to design a program that's completely customized based on your goals, with the exercises that feel the best for you or the best exercises to actually achieve those goals. So I think by having that and really having a periodized program and having that structure, you're a lot less likely to get lost in the gym and just kind of bounce around for machines, and just every workout doesn't really serve a purpose. So I think from a structure standpoint and an accountability standpoint, I think just having a coach and being able to experience what they have to offer. And like I said, I think the biggest thing with having a coach is to find somebody who's more knowledgeable than you, that has more experience than you, and that has achieved what you are looking to achieve. I think if you find that right person, don't just jump on any coach. I think you need to really find that right coach, because you're more motivated to kind of work for them and to give them what they you're more dedicated to the results that they want to give you. So I think by having someone that you want to that you look up to more so, and that has that knowledge, you're able to learn from them, and you're able to have an appreciation for what they achieved, and you're able to really give it your all with their programming. Alright, so that's going to conclude today's video on the top 3 things that every lifter must try. The worst thing that can happen is when your workouts start getting stale and you kind of lose the motivation. And honestly, the only person that's holding you back is yourself. So I highly encourage you guys to give these a try and implement them into your training and your lifestyle, and I guarantee it'll re-energize your workouts and give you some newfound motivation. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do have a lot of great, exciting content planned in the works that I'm really excited to share with you guys. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, turn on the bell notifications. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get notified every time I drop a new video. And for those who are new to my channel, I actually upload twice a week. It's actually every Sunday and every Wednesday, so you can expect videos consistently going forward in 2020 on both those days. So make sure to turn on the bell notifications. Also, give the video a like. I do appreciate it. If you did like the video, you do enjoy my content, all the likes do help. So hit that like button, and I'll catch everybody here next time. All right, peace out.